Hi everybody, Tony again here with Shinsho Yoga. And today I would like to work on Ustrasana, or Camel pose. Camel pose is more of an intermediate to advanced posture in yoga. And when I say intermediate to advanced posture, that's not, I don't want people to think along the lines of, like a martial arts black belt or something like that, or someone who's only achieved certain levels of this or that. What that generally means is at least when I refer to it, intermediate to advanced posture, that you have a certain amount of openness in your body, a certain amount of body intelligence from doing the practice. You know where your body is. You understand how to make adjustments because it is somewhat of an intense back bend. And it's not a posture that you would do in a basic flow without warming into it. Other teachers may, right? And teachers may, I've been in classes where teachers have launched you into poses very early on that really have to, in my opinion, you need to be way more open body-wise before you do that. And that's really how, in my opinion, how the vinyasa should work, right? You are warming your body up to get into these deeper and more advanced postures for the health of the practice of what those postures do for you. When we start out initially in yoga, when we're new to it, generally we don't have the openness in the body, we don't have the body intelligence, we don't have the awareness to know what we do. But as we study with our teacher and we work more on it, we learn our bodies, we understand the process of yoga more, and we build and build and build on one another. So when it comes into more of an advanced posture, we have the basis for understanding and we have the basis to know where our body needs to be to get into it. So that's what I mean in more of an intermediate or advanced posture. Again, not that this is some competition ever in that type of situation that, you have to have practiced yoga for at least 15 years and, been able to sit this way for some. None of that. It's really developing that body intelligence to know where you are in your body and have done the practice long enough to understand the connections of the poses to be able to get into that point. I'm going to offer Ustrasana with some variations today, with some modifications. Again, I like to offer postures, especially as I do here online, the basic version and then how you modify. There's plenty of people you can find that are going to show you, very complicated, advanced forms of the pose. That's not for the everyday person. I think that's what turns most people off to yoga. They see that and they're like, I can't do that. That's yoga. That's a version of yoga. That's not yoga, right? So I'm going to show you how to use blocks and how I get into the posture. Ustrasana, again, not something you want to launch into in the beginning, in my opinion. You really need to have the body warmed up to get into it because of the intensity of the posture. You not only need a certain amount of openness in the back to do it, but really a lot of openness in the legs and in the hips. The majority of people, majority of students that I have that struggle with Ustrasana don't usually struggle with the back bending portion of it in that their back is too tight to get into it. It's openness in the front of the hips here. It's this area here that really becomes the challenge for them. So not only do we need flexibility in the back to be able to bend into this shape, but we also need to have a good amount of openness in the front of the body to get to it, right? And I do set up Ustrasana this way, again, from specific examples I have. There's one teacher that I have that I go to from time to time, and I like his class, but he was a little aggressive one time. He's a big adjuster, and I'm not a big adjuster on people because unless you're a private student of mine and I know where your body is, I'm not going to try to push you into any position, because just in a random class, I don't really know, and generally most people aren't coming into the full expression of the posture, not because they don't know how, it's not where their body is. So in this posture, I had a teacher come in and put his foot behind my back and pull on my shoulders, and oh man, that did not feel good. So knowing yourself and modifying as you need be in your class to get into the posture as is needed is really the process of yoga, right? Knowing here, knowing how to do it, right? And teacher is a guide. So let me offer how we get into this. Now, a couple props you'll want to have for this. Blanket and blocks for the modification. Blanket just in general for the knees. So again, you're going to be on your knees in Ustrasana. So if you have knee issues, you're definitely going to want to put a blanket underneath you. I have these compression padded braces that I wear on my knees whenever I practice. It helped me out, but I'm going to show you here with this blanket. Right. So for Camel, again, Ustrasana, start with your legs maybe a little bit greater than hip distance apart, maybe hip to shoulder, somewhere in between there. Starting up on our knees, and I ask students to tuck their toes, right? We do this to make this easier to come into the posture. And the process of this is important. This is how my teacher taught me, and I find this is the best way to come into it. You're going to want to start with one side, and you're going to reach back with the one hand, and we're going to do this for me because I got this in the way on the right side here. Coming back and grabbing either your ankle, the heel, or the calf here. Really depends on your body. I come back to the ankle, right? So we start here, and then you're going to take your other arm up to the sky, as if someone was helping you up. From there, you're going to rotate the hand. This is important. You need to rotate this shoulder as you start to bring this arm back. If you try to go straight back, you're going to hit impingement. This is going to drop. You're going to struggle the whole time. Rotate the hand, okay? So it's up. Someone's helping you up. Like guys, we got their hand. Taking the opposite hand back, and you rotate to come back and grab the opposite side. From here, drive the hips forward. Take the tops of the feet down. Let the head drop back and try to spread collarbone. Breathe. Now, how we come out of this is important. Bring the head up. Take the opposite arm up to the sky as if someone's helping you up. Other arm comes up, and then I like students just to come back and rest in child's pose. Now, that can be very intense on the back, right? So again, you want to be in a flow doing this that has work to open here and here before coming into that. You don't want to just launch into that in the beginning of a practice. If a teacher's launching you into that in the beginning of the practice, I don't agree with that at all. You know, you never know where people are during the day with their body. So you don't want to launch into that. You want to be further along in your practice where your heart rate has gotten up, your blood has gotten, the movement is there, there's opening that's been done to get into that. Camel is actually an excellent counter pose for handstand. So when I do handstands, I like students to come into Camel. It really helps to open this up. Camel really gets the front of the body, right? It may be a back bend, but it really opens the front. So I'm going to show you modification now if you struggle with that, and that's with blocks. This can be done different ways depending on your body. The simplest way, right, with this is just taking them alongside here of your mat, right? Tall setting, and if you can't bend at all, this doesn't move, any of that type of stuff, you can just bring the hands here and do like this. This is a heavily modified version of Camel, right? It will still work the back here, and it'll still work the front. Now, you don't want to come into this if you have more ability to do this, right? You don't want to just kind of mail it in and go, I'm just going to do this, it's easier, right? You do this one if you don't have the openness or you don't have the flexibility in the back. You can just bring the hands here and bring the hips forward and do like this. Now, there are an in-between version of that. To help you get into it, you can bring the blocks by your ankles, right? And we would do the same thing. We would start here, bringing the hand back to the block, bring the second hand up, and again, rotate, come back, grab the block, and then from here, right? It's hard with the blocks, they like to move, but then from here, push the hips forward and let the head drop back, right? And you would want to come out of this version the same way. Right? So you have a couple modifications here for the posture. Full version, again, if you have knee issues, you come down onto your knees. You put a blanket under the knees here, reach back for the ankles, coming back, follow the process, one hand, the other, come back. If you struggle with that, you can use the blocks. If you don't have the openness, just coming along the side, bringing that forward, or maybe modifying and coming in between. That in-between modification is the most challenging because the blocks like to move. So, that's Ustrasana, camel pose. Challenging, more of an intermediate to advanced posture, and you want the body open before coming into that. Modify as you need be. And remember to breathe and follow your breath. Any questions or comments, feel free to leave them below. Be happy to respond. Thanks again for watching. Namaste.